Virgin Radio, Style Rock.
Ciao amici di Virgin Radio, sono Alteria. Oggi siamo qui per fare una chiacchierata con il cantante di una band che tanto amiamo qui su Virgin Radio, ovvero i Greta Van Fleet. È con noi Josh. Hi Josh.
Hello.
Hello, thank you for your time. How is it going? How are you?
I'm good.
Where are you now?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee right now. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let's talk about your new album. I read that you defined The Battle at the Garden Gate as more complex and sophisticated than your previous album. And I listened to your album, a big part of it. And I agree with you. I think it's brave and it's great, the fact that the songs have all the time to develop and the structures are not common at all. Long musical moments. I think it's a privilege to make news you love in the way you feel it, without, how can I say, without any kind of paranoia and compromises, right?
Yes, and that's generally a great deal of our process, and something that we consider hallowed. So, and that's what we want to do. We want to always be able to create something raw, organic, honest, original. And not have any red tape or any limitations, and we open up our souls to create this stuff, and I think that is a huge virtue for the artist.
Of course. Talking about the lyrics, I know that you are a reader of Alan Watts, that was a great philosopher that brought the Oriental thinking into the Western culture. Mm-hmm. And I feel there's a spiritual vibe in your words, a sort of meditation and reflections about human being and our condition in the society.
Yes. Yeah, and that lives all the way through the bigger body of Greta Van Fleet work, and it is so much an integral part of the band and the way that it functions, and a lot of that is, like you said, very, very human. I think that's such an important aspect of this album particularly, which I find is just as much an extension of the last album as an arm, like. So there is very much a human element to this, and it's a world that we're building, and it is mythology, and it does play with all of the major ancient themes that we've read about and have been present since the advent of man.
It's wonderful, the fact that you speak in this way too. Also, a new generations, we live in a neurotic society, and so it's good that rock and roll can have this kind of message, right? So thank you, and thank you, because I didn't know so well Alan Watts, and I discovered this philosopher. Thank you, an interview that I read about you. Yes, of course. This is your sophomore album, and it's a really important step because well, we never stop growing, right? But the second album, the second step for a band is a moment when the band shows its growth, its evolution. What about this new album makes you proud? What in particular makes you proud about this work?
I think that we achieved really what we set out to do. And it's strange that we've decided to do it now, but the reasoning behind that is because we didn't think when we were first breaking through that people would understand an album like this. I think it took time and development to build a bond and an ongoing narrative with all of these fans and lovers of music.
Yeah.
And so now it makes more sense than ever, and we've laid the groundwork in the previous music to be able to open up this evolution. I mean, when we set out to do something, like you said, bold, we wanted to make something in a cinematic scope. Mm-hmm. We wanted to do something. We wanted to do something sensual and challenging and frightening and beautiful. And
you did well.
Thank you. And so, yeah, that's I think a huge we feel proud of the work, and we're really really excited for people to jump in head first and really figure this thing out.
Okay, you talked about time. Listening your new album in a neurotic society, like I told you before, these days music and music in general, really, everything happens so fast. So recording and releasing date and touring, well, not now, but normally, and then promotion and so on. Everything so fast. But listening to your new album, for me, it was like a celebration of time, because it takes time, it takes care to enter in this album.
Yeah, yeah, and it's strange. Is everything on this album from one track 5 years ago, and then tracks that were written in the studio. But it's always a matter of trying to find time to record in between touring, which is a constant. But in the last year, we were able to incorporate 2 more tracks onto the album, which we wanted to do, but wouldn't have previously had the time to do. So that was another really interesting thing. But yeah,
it's like you are on your own path.
Yeah, yeah.
It is.
Kind of linear, but not always.
Okay. Do you like the idea that new generation approach instruments, real instruments, guitar, bass, drums, thanks band like Greta Van Fleet?
Yeah, no, that's a huge deal, and that's hopefully we've done something to encourage, invite, entice, inspire people to really lean into this heavily. To be able to make free music for free people.
You know what? We are in a individualistic era, and I like the fact that young people could approach an instrument and play together and jam together. I think this is one of the one precious peculiarity of rock music. And we need this. I think in 2021 we need this kind of sharing of feelings, of emotion, not only sharing notes with the band, but the opinion, and make music together with the real instruments.
Yeah, we that's what we need, certainly. It's times like this that most important to be able to share and create music like this.
Okay, you all are great musicians, and you are at the voice a great virtuoso. Which is your favorite dimension, live or studio recording?
I think I mostly prefer live. They're two very different things, but I enjoy both of them. Live is something that's special because what's happening on the stage or in that space only happens once, and you're sharing it with all of those people, and you're celebrating in the spirit of love and creation and being human and being together. But in the studio, it's a little more introspective, and you're able to explore those ideas very much in a private space. And there's not as much pressure, immediately. But I think that they're both wonderful in those ways.
I hope to see you live again very soon, because I see you in 2019 here in Milano. However, we all miss live shows, of course. Nothing like the energy of a live performance. And music industry in this moment suffers a lot this lack. Have you ever thought to postpone the release of your album, The Battle at Gardens Gate, that will be released on April 16th, cause of this difficult moment? Or on the other hand, you think that your music could be healing your fans in this specific moment?
Yeah, I think that's kind of really, I think what is existing now that we're putting into the world as this is going to live on way past our time. It just seems to be how art is once you put it into the universe. It's something that when you're stardust, there will be all of these little human organisms running around with your work on this pale blue dot for as long as we will be here. So, and that's, I think, what we the way we approach the creation of this stuff. And I think hopefully young people can take this. People of all ages can take this and look at it as some kind of text or some kind of groundwork that they can maybe live by. It's a culture, and it's a spirit. And I think live you see that come together. It's very different live, and I feel that we're very much a live band, and it's a great deal of what we do and where we come from. And so I think that they are two very separate things, but will not be able to create live music forever. And so I think that there's the importance of having a
Please do it. Please do it. Okay.
I'll figure that out, I hope.
I don't want to fall into the matter of your musical influences, but for sure I can say that when I hear M1B3 in an intro of a song, or a long guitar solo, or a long drum solo, well, I become a happy person. I love this way to treat music, the care that you have of music. What was your first concrete memory about music world, about rock and roll when you was a child? But you are young, but the first memory you have in your mind?
I think it was probably the Beatles.
Beatles, right.
A terribly unoriginal answer, I'm sure.
You know what? When I read about Alan Watts, I think about Beatles, George Harrison, that kind of thinking, right, is into
certainly.
Beatles music, right?
And there's a lot of Eastern philosophy that kind of lives in some of that work, especially when that cultural revolution happened, and there was like this sort of renaissance, and people were exploring all kinds of ideas and spreading around a bit more like gypsies or vagabonds or troubadours or something. And yeah, so I think that kind of lives in that space. And that's just what happens when you open yourself up to this and the endless ideas and possibilities. And that, I think, is a huge thing. I remember asking my mother, what was the biggest, like really quite young, it's sort of really early memories. I thought, what's the biggest band in the world? What's the biggest band in the world? She goes, the Beatles, honey.
yeah, I think so. Well, talking about your album, I like the way you approach the booklet. 16 pages, a lot of mythical images and metaphysical symbols. How did you come up with these?
A lot of argumentation. No. It's a part of it. It's really funny when you when you aim to create these worlds and create these themes. You run into the same trouble that anybody did. Hundreds of thousands of years of doing that. Amongst it. So there's like we ran into our own little battles together trying to create this, but we thought that this very broad, wild world that we were curating as mythology needed a language, and there are characters at play inside of this world, and there are wars, and there's the natural world being threatened by so much of the human error, which is greed or ego or things like that. So we thought it's an incredibly visual album, and so we needed to kind of lend the album packaging and the videos a little to that world, but we didn't want to spoil it either. A lot of this is really important to individually or originally interpret.
Josh, I want to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you soon vis-a-vis, not in this virtual way.
Yes. Namaste to you.
Oh, thank you. Namaste. Hi, Josh. Thank you so much. See you soon.
See you soon.